Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. We are in the beginning of this beautiful text, Isavasya Upanishad. It starts with Isavasyam idagam sarvam. Yat kinchat jagatyan jagat. Whatever you see in this universe is pervaded by Isha, by the Lord. And tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magrida kasya svidhanam. So do not get too attached to the world. See the whole world as God, including myself, but do not get too dependent. That is the only way to enjoy this world. If you get too caught up in it, then that will eventually lead to sorrow. But somebody says that is very difficult. How can I see God everywhere? You know, well, it's very hard. There are some people I like, some people I don't like. I have so many desires, vasanas. Then the Rishi says, do karma yoga. So he says, whatever work you have, however life you have, even up to 100 years, do service. Karma yoga, kurvan neveha karmani, jiji vishet, shatagam samaha. Even if you live up to 100 years, do karmas for others, dedicated to God, and na lipyate nare. So such karmas will not bind us, will not get us caught and not create more vasanas. So we will not get caught in the cycle of birth and death if you do karmas dedicated to Lord and for others unselfishly, and that purifies the mind, and such a pure mind only can get the knowledge. That's why the Rishi uses the second mantra for karma yoga. Then the third mantra is, well, somebody said, I don't want this knowledge and all. I don't have the time to study. If I'm working for others, what are others doing? You know, what is their job? I'm here to enjoy life. Khao piyo, maja karo. So he says, then what happens to such people? Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, ye shastram vidim utsrijya vartate kama karatah. Those who give up the shastras, don't follow the shastras, and work just for themselves, then the Rishi says it very beautifully, asurya namate lokaha andhena tamasavritaha. So he says they go pretya vigachanti ye atma hano janaha. So these people go to worlds of blinding darkness, demonic worlds. Even here, if the people live a selfish life, sooner or later their life becomes full of darkness. And such people are Atma Hana. They destroy the Atma. You say, well, you know, Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter, na jayate mriyate va kadachit. Atma can never be destroyed. So the commentators interpret is that Atma is our true nature. And that is our birthright. Happiness, bliss is our birthright because I am that Atma. But a person who does not follow the scriptures and does not do the right thing does not enjoy the joy of Atma. So he does not experience the presence of Atma because his life is only full of sorrow. So even though my nature is such Chit Anand, I don't experience the Anand either. So I have to either follow the path of knowledge and along with that, of course, Upasana, Bhakti, or path of karma. Bhakti comes in both, dedicated to Lord and knowing the Lord. So he says, Guruji, you said Isha, but you have not explained what Isha is. Who is this Isha and how am I to know him or that? So Guruji says, Isha, which I said in the first verse, and Atma, Atmahano, which I said in the third verse, are one and the same. That same Brahman, that same consciousness is also referred as Atma, but they are one and the same. We think Atma is one and Brahman is many, but actually there is only one Brahman, that is Advaita. There is no other. So then he says, well, then let's do the fourth verse, which tells us about the nature of Atma, the nature of Brahman. Hansaben, you want to repeat the shloka number 4?
Okay.
Anejadekam manaso javiyah.
Anejadekam manaso javiyoh.
Nainadeva apnuvan purvamarshat.
Nainadeva apnuvan purvamarshata.
Tadhavato nyan atyeti tishthat.
Tadavato jnana atyeti vishtata.
Tasmin napo matarishva dadhati.
Tasmin apo matarishva dadhati.
You can please mute, we'll all chant together. Anejadekam manaso javiyah. Nainat deva apnuvan purvam arshat. Tadhavato nyan atyeti tishthat. Tasmin napo matarishva dadhati. So beautiful verse which describes the nature of Brahman. Anejat, we had just translated it 2 weeks ago when we had met, but I'll just translate again. Anejat means does not move, unmoving, and it is one. So this Brahman does not move anywhere. So he says, is it impotent? It cannot move. We'll talk about that. It is unmoving and it is one, ekam. But even though it does not move, manasaha, than the mind, fifth case, than the mind, javiyaha, it is faster than the mind. You just said it does not move, and now you are saying faster than the mind? Yes. Na enat. Enat means this. Here this refers to Brahman or Atma. This. So this Atma, na deva. Deva means the gods, or deva also means sense organs. Apnuvan did not reach him, reach that. Purvam arshat, that Atma, this Brahman, this consciousness already was there. Even the Atmas, even though the Devas were trying to reach him, reach that, they could not. So it was already there before the Devas, before the gods. Then he says, Tad dhāvataha, anyan dhāvata, even others are running, and this one is tishtata, it is staying in one place still. Ati eti, it still goes beyond, it still overtakes. So others are running and it is staying in one place, but it still overtakes them. So a lot of contradictions. And then tasmin, in this, in that, that's the seventh case. Apaha, water. Matarishva dadhati. Matarishva has many meanings, but here we can use it as space or air. So space keeps the water, space holds the water. Dadhati, holds. Not dadhati, that gives, but dadhati, that holds. So this is unmoving, but moves faster than the mind. The gods could not reach it. Even though it was staying in one place, it overtook everybody else. And in it, space holds water. So there are a lot of contradictions. Why is the Rishi putting all these contradictions? It moves, it doesn't move, it is stationary, but it is faster than everything. Because the Rishi is trying to describe the infinite, the totality, the Brahman, the consciousness. And human language is incapable of describing it. Any human language, Sanskrit is the closest which can describe the truth, but even that falls short in describing that reality which they have experienced in their meditations. It is infinite, so finite words cannot describe it. The intellect cannot even comprehend it. So by putting these contradictions, what the Rishi is doing is make us think, and when our thinking stops, when we say, I can't understand it, and the intellect becomes silent, then in that silence, the intuitive knowledge that arises within in meditation, when the mind becomes silent, it is thinking of all these, it moves or it does not move, or is it faster or slower? And when it gets no answers, then in that silence, that ultimate experience occurs. But Western scholars who just translated it with a dictionary, Sanskrit to English dictionary, they called it the blabbering of humanity in its infancy. When mankind was a child, was a baby, that they had no sense. That's why they were just blabbering like an infant talks without sense. But Gurudev in another place says, he says, never ever in the history of mankind has human intellect been as evolved as it was at the time of the Upanishads. Never, no matter, we may think now we know space and we can travel and all, but we are nowhere near what the rishis had accomplished without any equipment, just with their meditation, just with their chanting. So when they say it is motionless, it is not moving. So Gurudev says it very beautifully. I can only move to where I am not. Like I am sitting in this chair, but I'm not sitting on the bed. So I can move from here to the bed because I am not there. But this Brahman, the Atma, is everywhere. There is no place where it is not. Is it in heaven? Yes. Is it in hell? Yes. Is it in the furthest star? Yes. Even beyond the furthest star, even beyond space. And at the same time, it is within as the tiniest particle. That's why in Kaivalya Upanishad, the student says, when he realizes, Anoraniyam ahameva. So it is smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest. So that which is everywhere, where can it move? So it has nowhere to move. And when it says ekam, anejat ekam, ekam means the one alone. So this world which is constantly moving and which is multiplicity, the Rishi is trying to tell us that it is not part of the world. It is not of the world. Nothing, because the world is variety and the world is Jagat, is constantly moving. So this does not move. It is stationary, but it is all pervading. It is everywhere. It does not mean that it has no sentiency. That's why when it says that it goes faster than the mind, because the mind, say you are sitting here now, and then suddenly you imagine your childhood home, where you grew up in India or wherever you grew up in whichever state. Your mind has gone there faster than the speed of light, right? But your mind instantly can go there, but Atma is already there. Consciousness or existence or Brahman is already there. You're taking a flight from LA to New York. You say, okay, I traveled from LA to New York, but you did not overtake Atma because Atma was already there in New York as it is already in LA. So everywhere I go, that alone is there. And the mind can never go outside Atma. You can never think outside the Atma, the consciousness. It is the mind which is given sentiency by the Atma. So the dynamism, the life, the consciousness is this Atma, this Brahman, this consciousness. And so the mind, whatever it can think of, the Atma is already there, the consciousness is already there. Even if you go to Brahma Loka, you say, okay, I'm thinking of Brahma Loka, Atma is already there. You can't hide anywhere, you can't go anywhere. In fact, they say that knowledge of this can only be obtained on earth or in Brahma Loka. In Brahma Loka, the Brahmaji himself teaches. Only thing is, first of all, it is very hard to go there. Secondly, he only talks in Sanskrit. So if you want to go to Brahma Loka, learn Sanskrit over here. And also that's why Sanskrit, the script is called Devanagari, means it is the language of the Devas. So and how about in Pitru Loka and Gandharva Loka? The knowledge is there, but it is vague. So clear knowledge if you want on earth, right here. So we are very blessed to have all these Upanishads and Puja Gurudev and Acharyas to translate for us. So that's why it says that it is faster than the mind. And the second is the Devas could not reach it. So Devas has many meaning. One of the meaning of Devas is the gods, which we see in the story of Kena Upanishad. A lot of you have heard that story where the Devtas had already won. They had defeated the Asuras and they were very arrogant, not realizing that God had helped them. And so in their arrogance, they were having a party and drinking. And suddenly they saw a being in front, which they could not explain. And then Indra sends Vayu and Agni, god of wind and and they are unable to find out who that was. It's a long story. I won't go into it. A lot of you already know that. But the point is that gods, even heaven also cannot know this Atma. So because in heaven is a world of bhoga, of enjoyment. So this consciousness cannot be known, or only on earth is the best place to know it. Another meaning of Deva is the sense organs, the eyes which know the sounds, the ears which know the sounds, eye which knows the sights, skin, tongue, smell. So I see, hear, smell, taste, and touch all the objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So the 5 objects of the senses. And it is said that the consciousness goes out through the senses to illumine the sense objects. So that's why the sense organs are also called light. They're also called devas. They're also called light. Because it's not that science says, the object comes from outside through my pupil to my retina and I get it. Vedanta says, no, the consciousness goes out through the sense organ, through the mind, through the sense organs to illumine the objects. And so Deva also means knowledge, illumination, knowing. Also Devas, we worship the gods. Also some people worship their sense organs because their whole life is spent in satisfying sense organs, eat, drink, and be merry, khao, piyo, maja karo. So that's why the sense organs are also called Devas. So sense organs cannot know it. With my eyes, I cannot see God. You cannot say that one day God will appear before me. I'm sitting in meditation and there will be a light shining. And then God will say, oh, son or daughter, I am very pleased with you. Ask what you want. And I'll say, God, I don't want to ask anything. I already saw you. I got everything. And then God will say, no, you must. So then I will say, okay, God, if you want to give, then give me this. Give me another million. It's not like that. It's not that sometime, somewhere God will appear. God is the consciousness that illumines. So you can only know that by turning inwards and knowing I am that. That is the only way to know this Brahman, this consciousness. That's why it is said it is Indriya Agochara. It cannot be known by the senses. And again, the Upanishad said, na chakshu gacchati, na vak, no manaha. Eyes cannot see it, speech cannot describe it, mind cannot know it. You say, well, if speech cannot describe it, then why are we talking about it? If mind cannot know it, then why am I listening? Because it is only through listening to these masters, they indicate to us how to approach this knowledge. So this knowledge is an indicator which points us how to approach, how to get close, how to get to know this Atma as my own nature. Even though right now also I am experiencing Atma, we all are. That's why we are alive, but we don't know it. So the scriptures are meant to remove our ignorance and remind us that you are that. And then in that stillness, when the mind is still, that experience is the highest experience. So it says, if it is not this Jagat, then why am I experiencing this variety? You know, I'm experiencing all the, you're saying Ekam, there is only one. And that is, but I'm experiencing all the different. I'm experiencing the people, animals, birds, plants, fish, stars, mountains, rivers, trees. So what is all that? The scripture say that is conditioning. The one consciousness appears to be divided among all these, just as there is one space, but appears to be divided among different houses. So it is my house space, room space, pot space, box space, the country space, this is the US space and then Russian space. And if the plane goes in from one airspace to another airspace, they attack the plane. So space is artificially divided, but there is only one space, which appears as room space, pot space, and so on. So there is one consciousness which appears as all of these due to upadhis, due to conditionings. So once you remove the upadhis, remove the conditionings, then you say everything is God. That's why the first mantra is Isavasya Idagam Sarvam. Whatever you see, cover it with God, because God alone is everywhere. So instead of focusing on the differences, on the variety, focus on the substratum, the support, which is consciousness, which supports everything. And all movements that happen in this universe, whatever is moving, we say things are moving, that is because of consciousness alone. So you and I are moving because of pranas, because we have the prana shakti, and the planets are moving because of the samashti prana, which is called Hiranyagarbha. So the total prana is moving all the planets and moving all the solar system and the Milky Way and everything. And the Vyashti prana, the individual prana, moves me and my sense and my inner organs. The heart is beating, the lungs are breathing, and all the organs are functioning because of the inner pranas. So that is why we are not able to see it, because we are looking outside. When you look inward, you are able to experience the presence of this Atman. Then the last quarter of this shloka, it kind of changes track a little bit, but still fits with this shloka, is that Tasmin, in this Apaha Matarishva Dadati. So space or air holds water or supports water. So what do we mean by space or air supports water? What it means is that in space, there is air, right? Space is the subtlest. That's why Bhagavan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Yatha kasha sthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani iti upadharaya. All of the Gita chanting had just done that in the 9th chapter. So all of them know this shloka. So just as space supports air, air cannot move outside space. Air only can move within space, even if there is a storm or a hurricane or a typhoon, air can only move in space. So space supports air. And air supports water. How do we say air supports water? Because what is water? H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. So if you remove oxygen, then water is nothing. Then it is only hydrogen, H2. So oxygen can exist without water, but water cannot exist without oxygen and hydrogen. So air supports water and and also fire, because even for fire to burn, oxygen is required. And then fire supports the body, the water and the body. We'll talk about that. So air supports fire, air supports water, and water supports this body, because our body consists of more than 70% water. And if you dehydrate, remove the body, it will be just a pile of dust. So our shape of our body is maintained by water. So water supports this body, and also fire supports, because there is the digestive fire and the inner heat, because of which our temperature is maintained 98.4 degrees. So the subtle supports the gross. So the air space supports air, which supports fire, which supports water, which supports earth. And who supports all five? Consciousness, which is subtler than all. Ekam, one alone. In that alone is space. Even space is contained in that. Even the heaven, even all the 14 worlds are. That's why it says tasmin. In him alone, in that alone, eva, this, in that alone, everything is seen, everything is noted. But actually, the scriptures say that there is no movement. So when it says dhavataha, it is dhavata iva, as if running. Actually, there is no movement. Dhavata iva, or javiya iva, it is, they say faster than, but it is as though, because actually there is only one without a second. So where is the question of moving, running, overtaking? Nothing exists. So it is all as if or as though. So, but again, the language is the only way for the Rishi to teach us this experience, to point it out to us. So that is why we have to use the words. In fact, Pranaji in one place, one of the great saints of India says, he says that this, what I have experienced, words cannot describe it, but I am forced to use words. And he actually uses 18,000 verses. He says words cannot describe it, but then he writes 18,000 verses. And same thing in Bhagavad and all of them, because this truth, the Rishi wants us to also experience. That's what this Pranaji says. He says, what I have experienced, I want you also to experience. So I'm writing all these words to indicate this truth. So that is the meaning. Another meaning which Gurudev has given in his commentary, which Shankaracharya ji says, that Matarishva is the Jiva and Apa is the karmas. So this consciousness gives us karma phala. Whatever fruits of my actions are given by God. That's why whatever actions I do, how does that keep track? Not only in this life, but in multiple lifetimes. They keep track of the life and to whom I have done what. Sooner or later, I will get it back. If I have done good, I will get good. If I have done bad, or if I have taken what I don't deserve, then sooner or later, I'll have to pay it back. So that's why it says it also gives us the karma phala. So Matarishva is the jiva and Apa is the phala, is the fruit. That's how Shankaracharya ji in his Bhashya interprets this particular shloka. So what they are saying is it is unmoving because there is nowhere for it to go. It is all pervading. All movements happen in it, whatever we see. And it is that which is lending sentiency. When it is said unmoving, does not mean that it does not have the ability to move. In fact, it is because of it that everything is moving. And it is that which is illumining the sense organs, illumining the mind to illumine the sense organs. And so mind and sense organs have to be turned backwards, inward, to know this. So that is the idea in this particular shloka. Very, very nice shloka. Needs a lot of thinking and contemplation. So now we'll go to mantra number 5. Tadejati tannejati.
Tadejati tannai jati.
Tadure tadvantike.
Tadure tadvantike.
Tadantarasya sarvasya.
Tadantarasya sarvasya.
Tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha.
Tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha.
You can mute. Tadejati tannejati. Tadure tadvantike. Tadantarasya sarvasya. Tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. So the same idea in the previous shloka is again emphasized by the Rishi, because these ideas are very subtle and not easy for us to grasp. That's why also in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna often will repeat the same idea to strengthen it in our understanding. So here Rishi feels that this idea needs more explanation. So he says tat. Now here, which last in the other one, he says etat. Now he says tat. That consciousness, which is also this. So this and that are not different, but we always think that consciousness, that God, that Bhagavan somewhere. So tat and tattvamasi, in the Upanishad, he says tat ejati. Ejati means moves. So that moves. Tat na ejati, that does not move. So that moves and that does not move. Tat tat dure, dure, indeed it is far away. Tad antike, that is, means indeed, it is dure, it is far, and antike, it is near. So it moves, it does not move. It is far and it is near. And tad antarasya sarvasya. Sarvasya means of all beings. It is antar, it is inside. So it is far, it is near, it is moving, it is not moving, it is inside. And tat means again certainly, for sure. Sarvasya, of all beings. Asya, of all beings. This bahyataha. So it is outside. For sure it is outside, and it is inside, it is far and it is near, it is moving and not moving. So again, the idea is that it is, when we say it is antar and bahar, it is everywhere and it is not moving. That's why Bhagavan Shri Krishna in the 13th chapter, he says, Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charam evacha sukshma tattvat tada vigneyam durastham antike chatata. So same idea, that it is further than the furthest and it is nearer than the nearest. It is the subtlest. It is even subtler than the atom. It is the support of everything. And when it says it moves and does not move, actually there is no movement. And when they say no movement, that means it is Achyuta. That's why one of Bhagavan Shri Krishna's name is Achyuta. Achyuta means it does not move, does not fall from its divine grace. That's why they say Achyuta means one that never falls. So the Lord always is in that divine state, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And it is Sukshmatvat. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita it said it is subtler than the subtlest. Therefore, avigneyam. It cannot be known by the intellect, can only be experienced as I. And that's why one should always remember that Brahman is not somebody else, not that, but it is me. Aham Brahmasmi. And Aham Brahmasmi, again, it's not arrogance. It's not that me as Lata or Jayashri or Sharad, I am Brahman. No, this my what do you call it? Lakshyartha. There is Vachyartha. Vachyartha is this is my name. I am Anil, I am a male, I am this, all that. That is Vachyartha. But Lakshyartha, or what is pointed out by I, is that consciousness that we had done in Vivek Chudamani also. So that which is indicated meaning of I, we have to take, not this obvious meaning, not I as this individual or I as this person, but I as consciousness. And this consciousness or this Brahman is always Sakshi, is not involved, just as a witness is not involved in a case, but gives testimony because he or she has observed, say, a murder happening or a car accident. So this Sakshi all the time witnesses, and that's what they say, that in meditation, one of the beautiful techniques is to be a witness, because there are 4 aspects of our personality: the body, the mind, the intellect, and the Sakshi, the spirit. So stay as much as possible in that Sakshi Bhava in meditation, not only meditation, but throughout the day. If you can be a witness of your thoughts, that is a very great sadhana. So the greatness of Atma is pointed out. And itself, it does not move. So to give an example, say I'm sitting in a bus and I go from Bakersfield to Los Angeles by Greyhound. Did I move or did I not move? I was sitting for 2 hours. I did not move, but the bus moved. So in the bus, I moved. So similarly, in that consciousness, I am moving. So as though moving. And another example they give is the mirror. Now on the mirror, you shine the sunlight and then you move it and the sunlight appears to move, right? When the mirror is shining and you move the mirror, then the sunlight moves there. Does the sun move? No, the sun doesn't move. But the conditioning, the mirror moves the light. So similarly, you and I, as long as we are identified with the conditioning, then we will say, I am moving, or I am walking, or I am talking. But the understanding should be that I am Atma, and in my presence, this individual is talking or walking or listening. And so I and this individual called Anil are different. Actually, I alone exist as all. That is the next step, that everything is that. But we give too much importance to this temporary identity, which we have taken up. So, but actually, they say that this is beyond both. It neither moves nor does not move. You say, what? First you said it doesn't move. Then you said it moves. Now you're saying it does not do any. Think about it. The bus was stationary, right, in Bakersfield at the Greyhound terminal. Then it moved for a while. Then it again stopped. So the bus was moving and not moving both. So is the bus Brahman? No. The bus one time was moving, one time was not moving. But the bus is not Brahman, or car is not Brahman. So actually Brahman neither moves nor does not move. So he said neither na ejati, na ejati. It moves and does not move. Actually movement and stillness are both concepts of the intellect. This is beyond all concepts. Like you say, is it man or woman? Neither. Is it young or old? Neither. Is it literate or illiterate? Neither. So nothing of this world can describe it. So nothing, no language can describe it. Languages can only indicate. So that is the idea, that it is beyond all conditionings. In fact, it is even beyond time. Even time happens in that, like we just celebrated New Year. That is just an artificial division. Time has been going on and on and on, and suddenly we put in the middle December 31st, and we call it New Year, and we call it January 1st and all that. So talking about New Year, there was this reporter who went to the Middle East. She was visiting, and she happened to see an old man at this very famous Wailing Wall, which is worshipped by Jews and Muslims. So there was an old Jewish man praying, for hours. He was sitting 6-8 hours. And she said, wow, this person, it was New Year's Day. And then as he left, she approached him. She said, I'm a reporter. So you pray every day? He says, no, I only pray once a year on New Year. He says, how long you have been praying? He said, 50 years. I come every day, every New Year's Day to pray. So she said, what do you pray for? He says, I pray for world peace. I pray that my people, the Arabs and Israelis should not fight, and there should be peace in the Middle East, and there should be brotherhood. So she says, that's very nice, but what do you feel after you pray? He said, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. He said, 50 years, nothing, they are still fighting. So the point is that even time occurs in that consciousness, which is beyond both, beyond everything. In fact, Shankaracharya ji says it very beautifully when in his Bhashya, he says, for an ignorant person like us, his consciousness is far away. Maybe in some future birth, some future lifetime, I may get it, or I don't know when. Maybe when I find a guru and he puts his hand on my head, and maybe the guru will bless me. And, so we have all these ideas. For an ignorant person, it is far away. But for a wise person, it is closer than himself. It is him. Antike, it is the nearest thing. So that's what they say. Wisdom will tell you that that is the closest thing you are. Another way they interpret this in and out is that inside it is chit, it is awareness. Outside it is sat, isness, the presence of. So outside, whatever you see is sat, and the ability to know is chit. Of course, chit and sat are one. They are not separate, and they are everywhere. But for understanding, you can say that it is. So idea should not be that one day I will realize, one day I will know, but right now, here itself, because Atma is here, right now, everything is that. So that's why Rishi says, Isavasya Midagam Sarvam, cover the whole world with God, everything is God. And that's why it is said, Ishvara is Sarva. Sarva means all. So they use many things, Sarvagnya, all-knowing, Sarva Shaktiman, all powerful, all potent, Sarvatra, in all places. So everything in all places, at all times, and all knowing is that Atma, the consciousness, and that is my own true nature. So that is what we have to understand, that it is not far away, it is closer than the closest, but being subtle, it is hard for us to know as an object. You can never say that I'll know Brahman one day as an object standing in front of me, because it is the subject, it is that because of which I am able to know. So these two shlokas are a little bit repetitious, but the idea is that this is the ultimate truth, and that is what I have to know. That is the essence of this Upanishad, that you must know that. So somebody will say, okay, I sit down and I meditate, and then I listen to the Guru, then I read the Upanishad, then I contemplate upon it, then I think upon it, and then I understand it. What will I gain? We are always looking at profit motive, that mujhe kya milega isme? What will I get out of it? So Rishi says, what you will get, we will tell you next week.
Tune in.
So next week is the gain. What is the benefit of knowing this knowledge? We'll talk in the next two shlokas, that what is the state of the wise person, the enlightened master, the wise person, which is exclusively covered by Bhagavan also in Bhagavad Gita. How does the wise person function, and what is the gain of this wise person? That we'll cover next week. Because this right now, Bhagavan is describing the status or the condition of Atma, the Brahman, using contradictions for us to that, so that we sit down and think about it. It is not just, okay, Sunliya is done. I'm done with shlokas number 4 and 5. But if you have the commentary, please read it carefully. Think about it. Gurudev has done a masterful job. So please think about it yourself and then try to apply that. So that is the essence of.
I think it is as though moving. There was an example Gurudev has given about a train. When you're sitting in the train and next train is moving, it feels like as though you are moving. So that is how this is.
Right.
Even though you are stationary, but you feel like you're moving.
Right.
So
right.
It is just as though.
Right. Gurudev gives I am sitting in one place, but the train is moving. I'm in a train. I think I am moving. Yes. Another example they give is the sun. The sun, we say it rises in the east and sets in the west. The sun does not move. Earth is moving, but I think the sun is moving. So the sun is still. So that's why sun is many times equated with Atma, with the consciousness. Also in the 13th chapter, we just finished, Bhagavan talks about that. So in the presence of sun, the earth is moving, but I think the sun is moving. So that is the contradiction. Sun actually doesn't move, from east to west, does not go from north to south. We say, oh, in the summer it is in the north, in the winter it is in the south. No, the earth is moving, but I think the sun is moving. So so those are the contradictions.
Yeah. Another example I was thinking about was the vessel filled with water that he asked him to bring from one place to the other in the hall. Is the space moving? No, it looks though as it is moving, but it's so like those are I think we just have to think on these things and. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so the pot is moving in space, but I think the space is moving because I'm carrying the pot. So yeah, these are all good examples. Thank you.
Even ocean example.
Yeah,
waves and ocean.
Right. Gurudev also gives ocean and waves, that the ocean is not moving, the waves are moving.
And making look like the ocean is.
Right. But the ocean is still. Similarly, Brahman is still, but in that we all are the waves. But our essence, just as the essence of waves is water, so same way our essence is that consciousness. So water and waves, yeah, is a good example. Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments, questions? We have a few minutes. Yeah, Lata, go ahead.
I couldn't understand this terminology on page 105, motionless speed. What are
motionless speed? Yeah, what is motionless speed means?
This again, it appears as though it's moving, but it's not moving.
Actually, it has no place to move. See this, like space, where can space move? Space is everywhere. Right. But when I go from here, from LA to New York, space is already there, right? Mm-hmm. So space has as though moved ahead of me, even though space cannot move. So similarly, consciousness cannot move, but because it is already there, so even from here, I go to say Swarga or Naraka, the consciousness is already there. So even though it is not moving, but it is faster than everything. You cannot overtake it. You cannot cross beyond it because and also all speed is because of that. All sentiency, all motion, movement comes because of that. The fact that I'm able to move and think. So it is that which gives speed to everything and itself is faster than everything because it is everywhere. I can never go beyond it.
It's the substance.
So I start from here, God is already here. When I reach, God is already there.
We think God
Right.
will not know.
And
the
yeah,
banana.
on that previous page 104, it says motion is a change in time and space.
Yes.
So that is for my individual self, right? Basically.
Yes.
Yes.
Time and space is in Brahman, actually.
You gave an example. Sitting here, I can think of, say, my birthplace or that place. But that was in time and
space.
And space.
and space.
Right.
But
Right.
I am, as an individual with this BMI, I am right now here in this Southern California. So I'm trying to figure out how it
No, but
Yeah.
your mind can reach there,
Yeah.
right?
So mind can reach Gujarat, where you were born, and that time, in so many years ago. So
Right.
mind can move in time and space.
right.
But that is already there. That was there in the past, is in the present, will even be in the future when we are gone. So that is always there, and it is faster than the mind, and the mind cannot overtake it. Mind cannot go outside that pramana. So, and the mind is getting sentiency.
Mind is subtler than space.
Yeah, mind is subtler than space, but what I'm saying is that consciousness is even subtler than the mind.
Time and
Oh,
space,
okay, very good. Thank you.
All our activities happen in time and space, but that is beyond time and beyond space.
Space, okay.
So time and space cannot limit it. That's why it says Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. Aparichinna means it is not limited by space, time, or Vastu or things. None of them can limit Atma, can limit this consciousness.
Very good. Thank you.
Good.
Anything?
I think these are good meditation pointers.
Yes.
You have to meditate. That's why they say you need a subtler intellect. You need subtle thinking.
Right. That's why they say, I am Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham. I am Brahman. I am that consciousness. But again, not I as this individual, but I as the indicated meaning. Lakshyartha, what they call that. So the Rishi is taking, I hope I was able to clarify the ideas.
Very good. It was very good.
Yeah, it's very hard to describe.
It was
struggling to. Yeah, Madhuban, go ahead. You have a question? You can unmute, please. Yeah.
Here, I know when you were saying, I was looking at here too, like a steam in the railway.
Yeah,
right.
Very good.
But then again, it says motionless, it is in own real nature. Like this is, I didn't understand, it gets faster than those who run after it.
Right. So you can think about steam in the train, or
engine.
Easier example is gasoline in the car. Petrol, gasoline in the car. Does the gasoline move? No.
No.
Gasoline does not move. But in the presence of gasoline, the car moves. So the gasoline is providing energy for the car to move. So it is in a way faster than the car, means it is beyond the car. It is. So same way, that's what they are saying, that because of it, the car moves. So because of Brahman, you and I are moving. So all these examples are limited. They cannot
literally take the example.
Right.
You cannot prove with the example literally. Brahman is like this. No, it is just indicating to that.
Right.
Because Brahman is without any gunas, without any, properties or nothing.
Qualities, yes.
So you can't.
So the
why
steam is faster than the engine, means the steam is the cause of the engine. Like gasoline is the cause of the movement of the car. Yes.
Effect is.
And you say the water evaporates and creates a steam, but then steam moves with the train.
Yeah, the steam causes the train to move.
Okay.
The steam is the cause of the train's movement. Just as gasoline is the cause of the car's movement, but when the car is moving, the gasoline is moving with it. But the gasoline is the cause and the movement is the effect. So steam is the cause and
so cause is there before the effect.
cause is there before the effect, right?
Okay.
And cause is subtler than the effect.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I think Sharad is really in
Sharad is
meditation.
thinking. You have any comments?
Sharad is in meditation.
Oh, no, thank you for the beautiful example. I was just, it's interesting how Vedanta in general always gives contradicting statements that you had described in several examples. And I appreciated the example of Shankaracharya where you said, for the ignorant one, this Atma is very, very far away, where you don't even know what Atma is. But yet to the Adhikari, it is relatively close. So, the word relative is, even that is in itself ambiguous. I was reading this book of complete yoga, the book of complete yoga by Swami Vivekananda. So this book, obviously, or his writings are well over 100 years old at this point in time. And to give an idea how difficult it is to realize Atma in this description of the book that he's telling about. So imagine 100 years ago, the population of the world was roughly 2 billion. We're at about 7.5 billion today. So in his writing over 100 years ago, he was indicating that in a population of roughly 15 to 20,000 people, there's only one realized person or individual. So today the population has nearly quadrupled. So that would be 1 in 80,000. So it kind of gives us a reference how difficult realization or moksha is to attain. And the other point that you had made that I just wanted to reiterate, and that's so important, is to constantly be aware of your thoughts. You mentioned the word sakshi. So, be your sakshi of all your thoughts, and the fact that your words, your actions, and your thoughts should try to, coincide all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? Kata, you have anything else?
I was going to say, if you can elaborate a little bit on Matarishva, you said the second meaning Swamiji has
it is
given
the
is
jiva. Matarishva is the jiva and apa is the phala, karma phala.
Okay.
Phala. So the jiva, it is because of Bhagwan that my karma is connected with my karma phala. I can never escape it. Either I get, mostly I go through in this life, but it can happen in future life. So Matarishva is the jiva and the apa is the karma phala.
Okay.
So all actions and the results, karma and karma phala. That is another meaning given by Shankaracharya ji.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Hari Om, we'll just do the closing prayer and we'll see you next week. We'll talk about the man of wisdom. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you. Hari Om.